Okay, so we're up to Mishlei 1519. Okay, we're back to our friend, well, not really friend, our enemy. Derech atzel ki misuchas chadek v'orach yesharim salula. Okay, difficult words here. So let's go with what we know. So the way of the atzel, okay, that's the lazy person. I'm gonna say Mishleically lazy, okay, because obviously this is Mishlei, but I feel like it's very easy to just automatically plug in your stereotypical definition of lazy. So Mishleically lazy person, Mishleically lazy fool. All right. Is kimisuchas chadek. But the pathway, I don't know, of the Yesharim. What's your go-to translation for Yesharim?
Upright.
Upright, yeah. Okay, let's go. Upright is, how would you translate slula? Paved. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's how I would also translate it. Okay, all right, but I think it's going to get more complicated immediately. Okay, so Misucha is a hedge. I don't know why they have two entries, and Fedek is briar or thorn, nightshade, like a briar hedge. Okay, fine.
Briar. I don't know what that is.
Briar is a thorn, I think, or thorny.
This cluster.
Yeah. Oh, is this the only place that says it?
That is also
BDB bonus. Yeah. Yeah. So let's just go like this, just to keep foreign words like briar out of our translation here. Is like it's, I think, hedged, or like spiky a hedge hedgerow? Of, yeah, what?
A spiky hedgerow.
A spiky hedgerow. Okay, is like a hedge of, I'm going to say hedge of thorns for now, okay? But the path of the upright is paved. Okay, so salal, so literally salal is raised, okay? I thought it was also smoothed, like Moshe was saying. So let's see what we got in the other things here. Okay, so I think we have a lot of machlokes in just how to translate this. It's just Tzio says.
Should we add that to the definition?
Yeah, we'll see it from the meforshim here. So kimisuchas inyan geder. So misucha is a fence, right? Kmo haser misukaso. Chedek min kotim. Chedek is a species of thorns. Kmo tuva kechedek. I don't know if the pasuk means that. And then salula.
That was the other one, the BDB.
Okay, nice. Okay, so we got a lot to work with here. Mimu shemesh bo rabin. Mimushmash? That sounds like a fake word, right?
Heavily used.
Yeah, heavily used, right? Yeah. Lahasir avnei hamichshol, which has resulted. I don't know. He says lihasir avnei hamichshol. It sounds like he's saying that as a result of the usage, then all of the stumbling blocks have been moved away, right? So I guess well trodden, right? I think sounds like what he's saying. Okay, yeah. Is so let's just go like this. Let's go salula. Okay, and that is either paved, raised, well trodden. All right. So then we got Saadia Gaon, who says derech ha'atzel ki meguderes b'chadakim u'kilukasu ki mesucheches b'chadek. So what's the difference between mesuchas and mesucheches? Covered with, like schach. I know that's spelled differently, but it's got to be related, right? What is he saying here? Meguderes, though, sounds like what the Metzudas ציון is saying. I think, sorry, I'm going to put in, yeah, fence, yeah?
With both the Metzudas ציון, I guess also are they saying it's like he's trying to walk through a fence of thorns, or it's like
right, so
thorns on the side?
This is going to be one of the questions that we have here, which I'll put just in the questions here, which is like, what exactly is the mushal, is the reality, is, you know, what reality is the mushal depicting? Okay, no offense. All right.
What is the shot?
Yeah, that's the thing. Just even understanding what it's describing is difficult to get. So we're gonna have to like keep that fluid in our minds for a second. Okay. Then slula, he says nikia ubara utahora. So he says salula, like I guess like solas, right? I know it's not the same exact word, but slula is clean, empty, pure. All right. Ve'in inyan salula min misila shehi haderech hakavusha larabin kol v'haisa mesila. So he's saying it's not. It does not mean like paved for public usage. All right, like mesila. V'salu alai orchos. Okay, ella kmo solu larochev ba'aravos. Right, that's a haftarah of Yom Kippurim. Solu larochev ba'aravos, I think, or solu panu derech. Yeah, right. Yeah, solu larochev ba'aravos. I don't know, but I think that's not that's not haftarah because it's Tehillim. Mesilos bil vavam reisham hadrasi v'harav v'chol ele inyanim tohar barus unikayon machshavti. So I guess purity of thought. V'kiyota bezed tirgam salsaleha. In Mishlei, so purified. Okay, fine. So this is well trodden. So these are all okay. Fine. We'll just add this to the list here. Is clean, pure, empty. Yeah. Okay. Then we got the Targum. Orchehon de atle kartsuve v'chuve. So orchehon de atle, the ways of the lazy. Okay, so he just makes it plural. I don't think that really matters. Actually, it might matter, right? That's interesting, right? Because if you're saying the derech of the atzel, that sounds like the derech that he's walking on, like that there's one derech. You can't walk on multiple drachim. But you're talking about the ways of the lazy person, that sounds more like his personal derech, like his internal tendencies or something like that. So the ways of the lazy person, unless lazy is plural, the atle, right? Okay, fine. So I guess we can't get that. The ways of lazy people. Okay, kartsuve v'chuve are so this is from ChatGPT. Translates kartsuve as chains and kuve as wounds or sores, possibly related to thorns. Okay, let's just go with let's look at kartsuve in the Jasher and see what it says here.
I believe it's words for beds class.
Yeah, kartsuv. Kartsova, thorn, from Targum from our pasuk. Okay, fine. So let's say our thorns and kuve is wounds. Let's just look up kuve also. I wonder if that's related to cave. I know it's also not spelled the same way, but kuv. Thorns. Okay, yeah. So thorns and let's say thorns and thistles because it sounds nice. Thorns and thistles. Yeah, the orcha de itse shafya, but the path of he says itse is diligent. Let's just look at that also. I'm not familiar with that. Eitz, is that how it's, or is it with the yud? What was that?
Like terror, like a.
That would, I assume that would have to have a resh, right? This is without a resh, right?
With the resh.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Did it change it?
Yeah.
No.
We have it in.
Oh, you have. Oh, interesting. To eitze. All right. So there's a discrepancy in the Targum here. All right. Yeah. Trite makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So the also I'll have to check with all Torah. The path of the upright. That's how he usually translates upright is smooth. And I think shafia is like shaf is to make smooth. Okay. Okay, and then our scroll, let's just, we'll move all this around later. Our scroll says, the way of the sluggard is fenced with thorns, but the path of the upright is paved. Rav Hirsch says, the way of the sluggard is as a hedge of thorns, but the path of the upright is paved. Alter is the sluggard's way is like a hedge. Okay, that was with hedge of thorns, but the path of the upright is smooth. Okay, all right, so let's just take stock here. I want to modify our translation just so we can have as many moving parts as possible. So the way or the path, I'm going to go with, the way is better, I think, we're there, right? The way of the atzel is like a hedge or a fence. Do we see anything other than hedge or fence? We had the weird Saadia Gaon Mesuchachas, but we didn't know exactly what that meant. So I think hedge sounds good. Of thorns, okay, that seems fine. But the path of the upright is sulula. So really the only major ambiguity here is sulula, right? Is paved. Let's get rid of raised. Oop, not get rid of the whole thing. Paved, well-trodden, clean, pure, empty. Okay. So what is the muscle depicting? Like what, what is the like
interaction between the
spatial? Yeah, I want to see like spatial relationship. Okay, between the atzel, the derech, and the thorns, right? Just like, is it? Because I'm picturing at least two things, but yeah, what are you picturing? Or sorry, what are you? thinking about. Yeah.
Either there's a road with a fence of thorns next to it, and you're brushing against it.
Okay, right. Is it a road with a hedge of thorns lining each side?
I feel like that's actually like fence of thorns.
Yeah, right.
Not hedge.
Not hedge?
Yeah, I think hedge. I think was the second option, which is where there's a hedge of thorns in the way, and you have to try to apply.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought hedge is davka used for like
on the side.
Yeah, on the side. Yeah, right. What's
Is
it
sometimes you cross it.
hedge? A fence or boundary formed by closely growing bushes or shrubs. Yeah.
I think the only difference is hedges is like from plants and fence is just like the fence, but they're both on the side. I feel like there's similar.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I don't think you use a hedge as an obstacle. Like in other words, you don't encounter like hedges. And then there's like this. Hedges, I think, are definitely cultivated. I know we're debating the English connotations here, but you don't encounter a hedge in the wild, right? I just don't think that that's a
Sometimes you will cross one if you're trying to get into a field.
right because someone put it up there, right?
Right. If it's using imagery, then you're
all right, fine. So
you're trying to get through a hedge.
all right, so I guess we're not agreed upon what the implication is. So we'll just describe the reality. So what's the other one?
The other one is where there's a hedge in the way, and you're trying to go through it.
Hedge in the way on the path, and you're trying to go through it. Yeah, we say something else about just this question, the depiction of the.
Two things.
Yeah.
Well, so then how would that work with the yashar then? What's
So either right. So I think that the yashar half of the pasuk seems to be. That's a good question. Also, okay, wait, maybe
I think
or yeah,
would be either the pathway is clear. There might still be
okay, yeah,
fences,
right,
but the path is clear,
right?
Or there's actually no fences; they can just go wherever they want.
Oh, that's interesting. Also, I think we say something different. Or is the path covered in thorns that you'd have to walk on?
Oh.
Right, because that would be the cleanest contrast for the salula, right? If salula means smooth or cleared away or well trodden, then you've got imagine a forest path that no one has used in a long time, so the wilderness just encroaches on it, and you have to there is a path there, but you have to step over all this other stuff. So it's not like a fence blocking you in, and not on the sides, but covered up. Yeah, right. Then what's
mesuchas in that?
Okay, I think so also. Yeah, right.
It seems to me it's not that there's a path with a hedge of thorns on it, but there's a path, which is one thing, and it's like a hedge of thorns. Isn't it?
Right. That's true.
So it's not like we're on a path and we have thorns.
That's true. Right. That's
I
interesting.
don't think any of those are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or is but the second half though does depict a path, right? I mean, I guess you could say that that's just the opposite of the internal path. Yeah. So
There's no path.
Let's pair this with this other question. What do derech and orach mean? Do they describe part of the mushal, as the descriptions imply, or do they, or are they part of the nimshal, as the kaf hadimayon implies, right? Yeah.
If they are on the side, who cares? Doesn't really seem so bad. It just seems like a normal.
Yeah. In fact, it'll keep you on track.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. That seems to be the least likely of them to me. Yeah,
So atzel and yesharim are not opposites.
okay. Right. So what are the opposites? Okay. On the surface, atzel and yashar are not opposites, right? Usually, the opposite of atzel. Anyone know or want to guess what the opposite of atzel is? Mishlei? I think it's charutz. Yeah, I think charutz. I think sometimes it's chacham. Let's see. I might be getting that wrong. Okay, so let's look at the common chord. Let's look at the tarshim. 14 times atzel. So I guess this is one of the terms that Shlomo Melech invented. Right? Okay.
Wow.
Not used anywhere else in Tanakh.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, good thing that we have a word for that. You know why? Because there was no laziness in Judaism until no. Yeah. Lech al namala atzel. Okay, right? So there you got go to the ant, you sluggard, see its ways and grow wise. Okay, fine. That doesn't have an opposite. Means aviv ayin nafsho atzel v'nefesh charutzim. So there's charutz. Then we got our pasuk. Then we got taman atzel b'tzalachas. Okay, and then it doesn't have an opposite. 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 Okay, so I guess there's not even chacham be'inav atzel mishiva tam. So I that's not stated as opposites, but the lazy person is wiser in his eyes than people who actually answer reasonably, which sounds like a type of chacham. Yeah, what were you saying?
No, it's just the thing. It's interesting that it seems like atzel isn't paired with an opposite. It's just
Yeah, right.
Describing the bad quality of the other.
Yeah, right. So
like sometimes it's not the subject.
right,
Yeah.
right. So let's just say, so if there is an opposite, it would seem to be chacham or charutz.
Yeah, I feel like Clarence is what I would think is the opposite of
Yeah.
it. Like just
Diligent and
default,
lazy. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Can you
Charutz is diligent. Yeah.
you said atzel is not lazy but Mishleically lazy. Can you
Yeah.
explain what the difference is?
Yeah, we're gonna go into the difference in a little while. Let's just ask what is the definition of atzel? Yeah.
And Yashar.
And Yashar, yeah. What is the definition of Yashar? Okay. I'm eager to go back into atzel. I'm not eager to go back into Yashar. I feel like we've done that a lot. Yeah, Moshe?
Are the paths of either person different insofar that they chose different paths, or is it saying that when they're going on the same kind of path, it will be smooth for one, but it'll be thorny for
Yeah, so now I've got Ezra's observation in my head, which is that it does not sound like the path is part of the mushal, but it really does sound like it is from the
second half, you mean?
yeah,
yeah, from the not from the second half, just from the pairing of the derech. Like it is describing his derech is like it's fenced with thorns. Like he's just trying to get you an imagery of derech and thorns, you know. Like for example, if you were to let's go to the extreme. If I were to say that the word derech is not in here, if I just said the blank of the atzel is like it's covered in thorns, but the blank of the yashar is paved, like it sounds like part of the mushal, you know.
Right.
I'm saying like I'm inclined towards you, but
Yeah.
it's difficult. So what was your question again? Who just Moshe?
Well, I was gonna say, I said, is the paths that they're on different because they're choosing different paths, or is it something within them that would
Right.
on the same path?
Yeah, that's going to be part of this derech question. In other words, is the derech external or internal? Okay. And either way, is their path the same, but they bring different elements to it, or are they on different paths? I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but yeah. Let's go, Ezra.
Really have me and Saadia.
Yeah. What is the Hava Amina? What is the Chidush? Practically speaking. Yeah, Isaac.
I have an answer for Ezra Peter's question, which I feel like it's normally a little early for answers, but I feel like it's what I'm doing my thinking.
Okay.
So I think you could say that it's describing, some element of like the when it says it's like offensive thorns.
Yeah.
It's describing some quality of the derech and using an analogy for that, but it's
Right.
It's not about his
So
actual derech, but
His internal derech.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Right. So you're saying they're all part of the nimshal.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. Kim Mesuchas Chadek though is giving an analogy, right?
You're saying it's like a thorn you can't pass.
Wherever I think there's some experience of walking on a physical road that is Mesuchas Chadek.
Yeah.
And it's saying his metaphorical that
Right.
is like that.
Okay. I hear that. So in other words, I think what you're saying is there is an implied derech in Kimsuchas Chadek that's part of the mashal, but then it's saying his internal derech is like that.
Yeah.
I think that's the best of both worlds. No.
Are you just adding another derech to the pasuk that's not there?
Yes.
So I mean, how's it just?
Well, something is Mesuchas Chadek. If Mesuchas is
Meaning, isn't it his derech?
Yeah.
well, no, but in other words, it
Wouldn't it be easier to just say his path is blocked? It's like it was just Chadek that there's no way to cross his path.
Without getting
It doesn't say like a path, which is Mishleic.
No, I mean it's like a thorn. The same way that you can't go through thorns, you can't go on his
I
path.
mean, yeah, that's one way to understand what a thorn is. Could be there are other ways to understand.
Yeah.
what
Unless
thorn
it's
is saying.
twofold.
Sounds like it's just an obstacle that needs to be navigated. It needs to be unlike
I really think it hinges on how we take Slula,
Yeah.
right?
Because also according to Saadia Gaon, he says it's definitely not paved, right?
Right.
Either way, it's like
It's
easiest way,
clear,
like clean.
clean.
pure. Like,
Right.
Same
But it also,
implication, I
yeah,
think.
I don't know.
Yeah, it could be the same implication unless Saadia Gaon is trying to steer us away from Sila, you know? Yeah, David?
Several questions.
Sure.
On the what's the second half looking to connote? Because I think that there's, multiple things. You have a paved, well-trodden, clean path. Some of it is that like it's the obvious route to go, which it seems a little bit harder to say because otherwise everyone will be doing that presumably. Or is it just saying this is like the most ideal path to be walking on because it's the cleanest, the most well-trodden?
Yeah, if it is indeed a mushal, and then like where are we here? If it's indeed a mushal, and then the question is this is not working, mushal. And what is the implication? I mean, right. Sounds like however you understand Salula, it means it's going to be easy to walk on. Right?
But not everybody's doing that in the first place, so clearly there's something.
Right. Is that part of Moshe's question, which is if the same path, if the Orach Slula is available to the Atzel, why is he taking his derech? Right? Yeah. Okay. It's so confusing.
Yeah.
This is hard to get the mushal. Yeah, Moshe.
How is edge modifying Thorn and vice versa? As in, what is the atzel's path with just a hedge, and what is his path with just?
Okay, yeah. So what is the relationship between the Misucha and keep on deleting stuff. The Misucha and the Chedek. Yeah. Isaac?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Oh, no, not yet. I think there are still a couple more questions here. I do want to, I feel like we did have an abrupt transition from the last pasukim to this one. So let's just look around here again. So we had the pasukim about enjoyment of what you have. Then we had last week's pasuk about conflict and strife. Ish chema yagarim madon ve'erach apayim yashkit riv. Then we got this coming out seemingly out of nowhere. Derech atzel k'misuchas chadek ve'orach yisharim salul. And the next week, bein chacham yisamach av uksil adam boze imo. So I guess I just want to ask this, just not even if we don't answer it today. Is there any relationship between this and the psukim that come before or after it? Yeah, Isaac?
Is there an intended audience?
Yeah. Who is the intended audience? And this is an interesting one, right? Is it like if it's the atzel, is he going to be able to follow through? Okay, this is going to be part of our analysis here. And if it's not, who is it? Yeah.
And what's the point of mentioning this?
Right. And why does he need this? Yeah, David?
Different question, different than just what is a derech atzel. Does the atzel even have a derech? In my understanding, without paying too much into what Mishlei lazy person is, that they're just like it's just not doing. Like not doing whatever is going to be painful in the moment. And that's the case. It's not like I am going to be deciding to do this type of thing. It's more like a lack of deciding to do things. Which it doesn't seem like there's like actual like formulated derech when it's like a chacham would have a derech.
All right, so I'm gonna hold off on commenting because I think you are quoting the Mishleically definition from Saadia Gaon, and I think that is a derech.
Okay.
Yeah. Isaac, you had
I was going to ask the same question as but also I think there's a little bit nuances.
yeah.
What is the like practical application? Like, is it just like don't be an atzel so that you don't?
Right. I'm gonna just say what's the practical application. What is the practical application? Yeah. Oof, this is a difficult. I never noticed how difficult this is to even read. I think I just usually pick a translation and go with it. I don't think I've ever like tried to scrutinize what the mashal is. Yeah. Okay. So we have two paths to take here. Okay. We could either just go with ideas based on what you are thinking, or we could review our working definition of atzel, which is based on Saadia Gaon.
I think we should know the latter.
Yeah. Okay. I think that'll just make it easier to work with here. Okay. So let's hope that this is on Torah. In the tafsir. So this is in Saadia Gaon's intro. If not, I have the PDF still. Most. No. Oh, unless it's part of the פירוש. Might be part of the פירוש. Saadia Gaon פירוש. That's the Arabic פירוש. Not gonna help us. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'll make it. Okay. So he says. I just want to see where to start. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so he says, the ikar hamunach kitzir l'inyanim halalu asher hem sovim alav. So the fundamental principle, which is like a pivot that everything revolves around, or pivot is probably because or a hinge. Hu shehateva lahud achar kol hana'am midis. So teva here he means like an instinctual nature. The person's instinctual nature, lahud, lust, is fired up by every immediate pleasure. V'eno sam lev im tie tachlisa mazika. And your instinctual nature does not pay attention to whether the end is going to be harmful. V'asechal, whereas the intellect, nirta misimcha midis, recoils from immediate joy. Im yada shehi mevia tsar la'asid. If it knows that that it's going to lead to future suffering. V'kach, so too, hateva nirta mitzar midi, the instinctual nature recoils from every immediate suffering. Even though pleasantness and joy will come in its as a consequence. Whereas the intellect will prefer exertion and suffering that are immediate if it's clear to it that good and benefit will come as a result. I think when he says he means the application of these two principles is infinite. But I'm going to mention a few examples of each. Okay, so just to summarize here, you've got your intellect and you've got your instinctual makeup. Your instinctual makeup basically is attracted to immediate pleasure and abhors immediate pain or conflict. Okay, but your intellect will say, no, I'm willing to endure immediate pain if I know that there's going to be great benefit, and I will avoid immediate pleasure if I know that there's going to be painful consequences. Okay, basic psychology here, but it's always nice to see Gaon spell it out, explicitly. Okay, so then he says, Vomer, and I say, that whatever the instinctual nature recoils from is whatever brings it immediate pain and suffering, or exertion and suffering. Because there is an impurity. I think Stoic here does not mean category. I think it means like a dross, like an impurity, like sigim, I think. That's called atzel, laziness. And everything that it is inclined towards and yearns for is what brings it immediate joy and pleasure. Because maybe he does mean category, because there's a category in midos that is called tava. Okay, so he's saying the opposite of atzelus is tava. So atzelus is recoiling from immediate pain. Okay, and tava is attraction to immediate pleasure. Therefore, each person requires the guidance of a chacham who will reveal to him the consequences of what brings joy to the instinctual nature and is bad in the eyes of the intellect, and also the ultimate end of what is harmful to the animal instincts, but beneficial to the intellect. then a person will be willing to endure the exertion and strive for something which is going to be ultimately beneficial, as it says in Mishlei, if there is an end. And he'll avoid that which he's drawn towards, which is taiva draws him towards, because of the bad outcome. I think that's the next pasuk we're doing on Monday night. No. We did that here, yeah. Okay, fine. So this is where I get my definition from Saadia Gaon, which I'll retype here, which is the working definition of atzelus according to Saadia Gaon, which is the compulsive need to avoid all immediate pain and conflict. Okay, as opposed to tava, which is the compulsive drive to pursue all immediate pleasure and enjoyment. Okay, that's yeah.
Is that a person?
So the way I'm understanding him, I mean, given the way that he presented it, that this is built into human nature, sounds like he is conceiving of the human being as these are the two fundamentals, which, he's not the only one who's done this. There's someone named Sigmund who also theorized this. What were you going to say?
Suburban.
Okay, yeah, I mean, this is, I don't think this is like a basic idea, is that you basically have two drives. You have the drive for pleasure and to avoid pain. And he's calling the drive to avoid immediate pleasure, to pursue immediate pleasure, taiva, and to avoid immediate pain, atzelus. So I think this is just, I want to showcase why David is wrong, okay, which is that David is saying this is not a derech. It's just avoiding things, No, that is precisely a derech. How do you make decisions if you're an atzel? Is if there is a conflict between immediate pain and immediate or long-term pleasure, you're going to prefer the avoidance of immediate pain. And if you're a Baal Taiva, according to Saadia Gaon, and there's an immediate pain that is going to get you an immediate pleasure or a long-term pleasure, then you're going to pursue the pleasure. So if you're going to say this isn't a derech, then taiva is also not a derech. But I'd say it is a derech. I'd say and by derech I mean it is a decision making. I mean, I don't even know if you want to call it a decision making thing, but it is like it's the modus operandi. Yeah. Oh, there you go. That now we understand everything. Yeah. All right. For navigating the world. Yeah. David, you want to defend yourself? Yeah.
Then maybe this winds up being a different definition, but
yeah.
So you would call derech any like mode of operating? To me, the way I was thinking derech would be like a thought out formulated philosophy, which this doesn't necessarily sound like. This is like a thought out deciding to live life a certain way, as much as just as you wrote, like a compulsive need to be avoiding all pain, which to me, the way I was thinking of defining derech would be that this was like thought out. So
yeah, I don't think all drachim are thought out. I think the derech of a pesi, the derech of a ksil, the derech of a neviel, these are all modi operandus, right? I don't know how to pluralize it, Yeah. But yeah, these are the ways of operating. Okay, yeah. I still call it a derech. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that there is not a way to define derech in that sense, but I think that all Mishleic fools, these are the mechanisms that are dictating their actions, whether or not they're conscious of it. I also want to say one more thing, which is that just two main differences between this usage of atzel and the colloquial lazy is that I think most people view laziness as a lack of motivation, a lack of energy, a lack of whatever, drive. But according to Mishlei, it's an avoidance of pain, which is different than because if you define laziness as a lack of motivation, so then what's the cure? Motivate the guy. If it's a lack of energy, just get more sleep. But if it's a distorted way of thinking where you're blind or you're misprioritizing like pleasure and pain, so that's like a different, the solution is going to look different. Second thing I want to point out, just to reiterate, is I think most people view laziness as one of the many bad midos, and there are bad midos. There's kina, there's sina, there's all this other stuff. But according to Saadia Gaon, atzelus and taiva are the roots of all midos. So I think that's just and if you look at the Rambam in the Shemona Prakim with the 5 components of the soul, you have the koach hazan, which is the nutritive faculty. Okay, we'll forget what we mean by soul. The nutritive faculty, the part of the organism that is responsible for the physiology. Let's just put it in modern terms here. You've got the sensory faculty, which perceives things, the imaginative faculty, which takes the sensory data and like manipulates it, the rational faculty, which can think about stuff and gain knowledge. But then there's the koch hamisorer, the emotive or motivational faculty, which has two main actions, attraction and repulsion. And all emotions can be classified under attraction and repulsion. So, for example, love is an emotion of attraction. Hate is an is repulsion. Generosity is attraction. You're moving, I guess, towards the thing, and then stinginess is moving away. So Atzlus and Taiva this is where the address of Atzlus and Taiva are. So it's a revolutionary definition of what it means to be lazy, in my opinion. Yeah, Ezra?
I think according to that, kind of explains why there's not really even Mishleic opposite to the atzel.
Yeah, right.
Because it's like the person who's a yashar or a chacham just doesn't allow
perfection is the opposite. Yeah, right.
It doesn't allow the atzel to take
exactly. That's actually a good point, right? Meaning that if it's a particular midah on the the only opposite is taiva, right? Meaning
like as a person,
as a person, yeah, right. You're not gonna have that. You're not gonna have that there. In other words, if it's like in the Rambam's Hilchos Deos, then you've got the two extremes, and you can have the opposite there. But atzel is like a more foundational thing.
Yeah, doesn't this imply that there's some sort of shared commonality in terms of a goal? Like meaning both the atzel and the yashar are on some implied path.
That's a good question.
Towards commonality, whether it be success or navigating the world,
right,
or recognizing God, whatever it may be.
Right. That's a good question also. So I'm going to put this as a separate question near the opposite one, which is that are the atzel and the yashar, I guess, I'll put it just the way you said, do the atzel and the yashar share a common goal, or are they looking for different things? Different things. Yeah, I had a discussion with someone about earlier this year about like we were talking about nihilism, and I think so. The person was saying how like if they gave into if they held, let's say, like life has no meaning, then they would just lose all motivation. And I said, really? Like, I would just learn Mishlei and try to get the most pleasure out of life, And we were discussing that, what comes to the root of that. I said, well, maybe at the bottom of things, you're just an atzel and I'm a Baal Taiva. Like I don't, if the life didn't have meaning, I would still want to have the most enjoyable life possible. And I'm going to get it however I can, but I don't know. Why did I bring that up? I had a specific thing here. Oh yeah. That I just thought of it with this question here is the atzel trying to get pleasure, but like he's inhibited, or is he trying for something else? And I don't know what the yashar is doing either, but yeah. Isaac, you had an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Actually, any other questions on the Saadia Gaon definition? And not that we have to do this definition, but you have to understand this is the definition that I've been refining for a long time, and I think just because it's so fundamental, then like I am very attached to this definition. So I'm just sometimes you can go into a pasuk and you can start from scratch, and other times in your development you're like, I no matter how much I try, I'm not going to get out of this like paradigm. So right now I'm in the part of I can't get out of this paradigm. So you're welcome to discuss, to bring up a new paradigm, and I'll try my best. But I think getting it on the table was a good move. Yeah.
Is there a different pasuk that talks about atzel and forms?
There is the passing by the hedge of the atzel, and it's covered in thorns. Or sorry, the fence of the atzel and it's covered in thorns. Is that what you're thinking of?
Maybe.
Let me just go to it real quickly.
Make sure I'm not just repeating a different idea that we.
It was in chapter 6. Okay, so Ad Masai Ats no. Oh no, this is not with the one with the horns. This is at the end of 24. It might not say atzel there, but it's the same lashon as in 6. Does it say atzel? Al Sadeh, yeah. Al Sadeh ish atzel avarti. I passed by the field of a man who is atzel avarti. Al kerem adam chasar lev, and by the vineyard of a person who lacks a mind. V'hinei Allah kulo kimshonim kasu fanav harulim v'geder avan avia neharasa. And it's it had been overgrown entirely by thorns, and the face of its wall was covered by brambles, and its fence of stones was broken down. And I saw, and I applied my mind, and I gazed, and I applied my mind, and I saw, and I took musar. A little bit of slumber, a little bit of no, that's tardema. And tuma is another word for like dozing. Yeah, a little bit of dozing, a little bit of folding your hands to recline. Yeah, so that's the opposite order. That was confusing me.
Is this a reference to part 12?
Yeah, it's the same exact thing, right? These last two psukim here, and a little bit of folding the hands to recline. And your poverty will come like a traveler, and your lack like an armed man. Yeah.
Okay, so what I would say is that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh wow, we're almost at the end. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think I think Meshuchas Chodek is talking about painful experience when the atzel is trying to do something, and it's using like I think like looks like a very visceral emotion where it's like sharp and uncomfortable all over.
Yeah.
I think that's what that's like the muscle.
Okay.
And I think with an atzel, whenever he decides to try to do something, he experiences so much pain because he's an atzel, and that he's so accustomed to not doing something. But a yashar, when he wants to do something, the way is clean and pure and empty. Like it's just like walking along a road.
Right.
It's just easy to do it because he's gotten himself to a state where he's not in pain about the immediate conflict.
Yeah.
He's not conflicted about going through the immediate.
Right. Because he has no conflict about the immediate pain involved. Yeah.
I think that maybe the audience is someone who is trying to get out of the derech of the atzel, but it's really, really painful. And there's a feeling of like, well, if it's gonna always be painful like this when I want to do something, why do I do it? But it's like, if you can get yourself to where you are a yashar, then the way is like clean. You're not gonna, and then you're not gonna, like, you get to a point where you don't have this conflict.
Right. That's okay. Yeah, I think that's a good approach to take. All right, we'll have to stop now. We'll start tomorrow with the Meshuchas Chodek. I mean the Metzudas David, and then we'll continue from there. Yeah. Okay. All right. That'd be a good name for a commentary. Bad name for a commentary. Yeah. All right. See ya.